We are back with more new products that just landed here at the Omnia warehouse. Super excited to share some of these with you guys. Let's start off first with the Daiwa Air D 80H reel. This is going to be kind of an entry-level beginner bait caster coming in at under $100. So this is a great deal to get yourself out on the water and casting. Some of the differences you might notice with this reel are going to be the line guide is not the T-wing system that you're kind of standard to see with the Daiwa Tatula series and up. Just more of your standard line guide there. Still comes with a dual braking system. Got it on both sides. It's a great free spooling spool in there. I think this thing will cast very well. So I'm excited to maybe even try one of these myself. Great for spinning spinner baits, chatterbaits, any of that kind of stuff. This will be cool reel. Next, we are going into BFS. It's been the year of BFS, and we've got more of that stuff coming in. We'll start over here with the Chatterbait Micro Max BFS series bladed jig. So look at, I mean, that blade on that is just tiny, just tiny. But I could see this being a killer bait for spring bass, crappies, I bet would chase that pretty well. I don't know if you can see that in there, but it is got a wire tie on the skirt, so that skirt's not gonna move around or fall off on you. Molded bait keeper in there on both sides, so it'll hold your plastics in there nice and firmly. This is a great one for the BFS guys. You could throw this on spinning gear. I would love to actually get my kids fishing with something like this. I'm sure they could catch fish right up the dock. Cool little bait from Z-Man. Also from Z-Man and from our man, the Llama tubes. So these things are really neat. One of the biggest downfalls with fishing tubes is they tear up. And when they tear up, you gotta untie, retie, shove the jig tube in there. It's kind of a hassle. So first off, you've got the Lastech material with these. These are gonna last forever. So once you get your jig head in there, you're gonna be able to cast and cast and cast and cast with these things. The other cool thing about this, and Seth has a video out kind of showing this and highlighting this, but you can actually rig these with your jig head still tied to your line. So that's a super efficient way to get yourself back casting. Again, I'll let Seth highlight that one, but these are a really neat little fish catching tube here. And to go along with that, we got the Llama Tubes jig heads. This one is just a 3/16 ounce, pretty standard tube head, but a very finesse hook on there. It's a light wire, but it's still stout. I mean, you can't really bend that out or anything, and it's gonna poke the fish. I mean, that's a super sharp hook. I know you can't feel that obviously through the camera, but I will tell you personally, that is sharp. So great tube jig to go along with those. Kind of rolling along with the finesse stuff, we've got some Cipher Fishing Tungsten Elite Scoper jig heads. So these are going to be a tungsten ball head jig, double wire bait keeper, which I love. I've become a really big fan of the wire bait keepers. Stick a toothpick in there and your plastics last forever. So really cool to see a double bait keeper on this. I think this will be a great player. Looks like in a kind of a modified O'Shaughnessy style hook there. So this is a great option for strolling those baits, scoping those fish, pinging minnow. Along those lines, we've got Missile Baits, the eye roll jig. So this is a ringed, I don't know how to display that quite there, but this is a ringed jig head for strolling your minnow. Very similar to some of the other ones that are out on the market that have rings, but this one actually has eyes, which I think makes a huge difference. I'm a big believer in eyes on the jig heads or the baits. Just adds another element of realism to it. Again, wire bait keeper with the addition of the molded bait keeper. So this will be great for all kinds of plastics. This will work well with the Lastechs, as well as your traditional plastics too. So really cool jig. More of, I'd call that a round bend hook on that as opposed to the O'Shaughnessy on the Cipher. So different hook styles. Give this one a try. This one, again, the ring is meant so you don't have to tie the loop knot. That's supposed to kind of add that loop knot right to the jig itself So you're not having to tie a loop knot, which some guys, don't trust that loop knot quite as much as their other knots that they've been tying. So great one. I've already got this one in my arsenal. Definitely will be throwing that. Moving over to this cool little guy. This is a Nishine Lure Works. I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, but I believe it's a Saugeen 40. So from what I've been reading, I've not gotten to throw this one myself yet, but from what I've been reading and watching and seeing, this is almost like a spy bait replacement. The little built-in paddle tail on the tail in there creates a little wobble and shake as you just kind of straight retrieve this. I could see this being a great player in places like rivers, small creeks. The BFS guys should really like this. This would be a really cool one to throw on a BFS rod. Again, in that shallow water, just a straight, slow, steady retrieve, and it looks killer. The other thing that it looks like you can do with this is stroll it. So a hard bait, strolling bait. Again, I have not gotten a chance to try that, but watching the videos when they are strolling it, I mean, that thing rocks side to side and back and forth. And you're able to also remove that center blade, which gives the bait a little bit of a different action when you're strolling it. A little bit more of a side to side as opposed to kind of the shimmy. So really cool bait from Nishine Lure Works. This should be fun to see. Now we're bringing back a little retro into the new. Do any of you remember the dancing eel from Bill Dance? It's almost back. This is a little smaller version. It's a wake bait, so not a diving crankbait. The tail is a Laztec, and it's also replaceable. So you can actually pull that tail out with the pin, replace the tail if it gets beat up or, if it gets melted in the sun, whatever. So you're able to replace that and keep the lure going, which is really neat. That's a cool feature. Speaking of that, that is an Elastec tail. So do not store this in a plastic tray or with other plastic baits. It will melt. So just a forewarning out there, keep this stored separately or in a safer place because those tails will melt on you. But this has a really cool action, side to side wobble just under the surface of the water. And that tail just, shimmies through the water. It's really neat. This should be a big fish catcher. I could see this playing in the spring around the spawn, fall when those fish are coming back up to the bank, just starting to happen in our area right now. This could be a really fun bait to throw around and beat the bank with. So cool lure from Nishine Works. Oh, another feature on this one as well, the hook down there is actually a double hook, not a treble hook. So it kind of hugs the bait a little bit better and just makes it a little bit more weedless, gets through that cover a little bit better, but still pokes the fish, still hooks them up, and you're going to get them in when they bite this thing. So again, sweet bait. Looking to try it. Now we're getting into my neighborhood, a flippin' bait. The 6th Sense Bodega, and this is in the 4.8 version. I've had a chance to play around with a couple of these in both the bigger version as well as these. The action on these smaller ones, I love. It's got a really cool little quiver as the jig or the weight or whatever you're throwing it on sinks it to the bottom. These flappers have a really nice little subtle quiver to them, but it still is kicking out action. When you're hopping it along the bottom, it just waves and kind of floats in the water. These are a really neat bait. They got super good colors in this, colors that I love to throw all the time. So this is gonna be definitely in my boat all the time, tied onto a jig. I love jig trailers. I love big jig trailers. I've heard of guys Nico rigging this. I've even heard of guys just throwing this on like a straight little ball head jig and bouncing it off the bottom. Carolina rigging. I mean, there's so many ways you can rig this bait and it catches fish. It's got little appendages on coming off both sides. And then again, those big elongated flappers. The body of itself of it is pretty short. It's stout and fat and ribbed, so it's gonna push a lot of water, but it's pretty short, so it fits on a jig, or I keep going back to a jig, but fits on a hook really well. And again, those extended appendages, flappers at the bottom just really flow in the water as you move that bait. So Super cool bait from 6 Cents. I think this is going to put some big fish in the boat this fall. So thank you guys for tuning in for another Just Landed with Omnia. Remember, you could be saving 10% on all of this stuff with an Omnia Pro subscription. Check that out at omniafishing.com/pro and see what the subscription's all about.